Welcome back to this week's lesson, and we're going to get into 3D wireframe modeling. Now, this is working in three-dimensional space. This is working with X, Y, and Z. So far, we've been working in two-dimensional space when we were working with X and Y. Now, to get started, we got to do a little bit of a work to our AutoCAD system here. We've got this thing set up in 2D, and you all can see this is X and Y. We want to switch this to 3D. To do so, you slide right in your bottom right hand corner and there's a workspace switching button. Looks like a little gear. You just click on it and go to 3D modeling. Now it's going to change the look of your AutoCAD. It'll actually the ribbon will be completely different in a lot of things. A lot of things are still the same, like your draw, modify, layers, and things like that. The only thing that really changes is it gives you tools for your 3D modeling, mesh, solid editing, and things of that sort. And we'll get to all that here shortly. Alright, now let's get started. And there's something else I want to do after we switched into 3D mode, and I want to go in here and open up my show menu bar. And I want to hit Tools. There's a couple things that I really like to have on my 3D modeling that I'm used to. Now it's up to you, it's wherever you prefer. But go to Toolbars, go to AutoCAD, and slide down to View. I like to keep this up, and I like to keep Orbit up. To me, it's so much easier to do that. AutoCAD, and go down here to Orbit. Now you have all this stuff available. Over here you've got your orbit, you got your view cube, and all this different things that you can work with 3D. I like my little orbit, so that's just what I'm accustomed to. And you get on here and toy around with it and see what best fits your habits as far as drawing. So we're ready to start. Now, the best way to tell you to get started with this would be to come in here and like here on your view. Now you can also get to this by going to view there, and right over here is all the same stuff I'm looking at. But keep from having to switch from home to view. It's a little bit easier to have this bar up, and you can go up here, and I like to use the southeast isometric. You see how it puts it in a southeast isometric. Now you got your X, Y, and Z. Now something to remember: when you're working with AutoCAD, it's already default as soon as you open the program up to go to XY coordinate, XY plane. So you're going to be drawing on the XY plane. Alright, so to start out with this, it's going to be rather simple. Go up here and use your draw and type in 0, 0. And you all see how we're drawing an XY? That's default. It's already there. Only time it'll draw anything else is if you tell it to. Okay? And this is what the AutoCAD calls its world coordinates. Okay, and you'll actually see it up here in the coordinates. You see world. This is its world coordinates. If you ever change the coordinate system on this, or how you got this set up, your coordinate system, go back to world and he'll switch it exactly back to the original what it is right now. So you'll never lose that. It'll always be there. And if you get off track and change things, you can always go back to world coordinate system. But what I want to do is in chapter 3. We're going to skip up to chapter 3. Chapter 1 and 2 is it's things that, it's early edition 3D, and really it's not 3D, they call it 2.5D. You just add thickness to objects in your properties, and it's not even used. So we're just going to bypass that, go straight into 3D wireframing. In chapter 3, if you'll look in your book and find the Locator Design, it's a little isometric view of an object, and it's called the Locator Design, and you'll find it in your book on chapter 3. I want to draw this for you, and I'll show you how to get started. Now this thing is 4.5 by 3, so first thing I want to do is just type in like your XY. Be 4.5 for X, and Y is 3. You see that? Now use your orbit. You can take your orbit and swirl it around and look at it. I like to be in southeast isometric. Click on that, it brings it right back. Now I want to offset, or not offset, I want to use a copy. And when I'm doing something in 3D wireframe, I just go ahead and draw the whole object out in a box. So click on this, click the center point, and I'm at 0, 0, but I want to hit add anyways, just if you're not at 0, 0, it's just a good habit to have. And what I do is I want to copy it 0, 0. X and Y I want it at 0, 0, but I want it to go up in Z 2.5. So now, just to make sure it's right, I'll take and I'll swirl it around, and you can kind of see, yeah, that's looking right. And I'm going to go ahead and put my connectors to it to make it a complete box. Whenever you get done doing something, drawing, it's good to take and swirl it around and look at it, just to make sure, because sometimes your lines will get off on you. So everything looks good on that. Now again, I want to do another copy. I want to bring this whole level up at 0, 0, I want to bring it up 0.75 to make the flange on it. So we've got that in there. Looking good. I want to go ahead and take this and bring that down. Go ahead and bring this one here. Grab the grip and bring it down there. So that's looking good. Check it. Kind of give yourself a look view at it. Make sure nothing's skewed. Looks good. And now what we've got to do is actually come up here, and I want to offset this fella in 0.75. To do that, you got to click on it. It's a polyline. It's all connected, so I want to hit explode. Right there's your explode. So now that is exploded. It's individual pieces. And I'm going to do an offset of 0.75. Now let's just make sure this will work. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. I can do a copy. Grab that. And I don't know if it'll catch there in the right spot or not. We could actually take a look. See. Yeah, it's in the right spot. So we're doing really good. So grab our line, bring that straight down, make sure it connects. And then bring that down, make sure it connects. And then I'll bring this grip back. Grab that. Bring it back and then delete that line out of. Now we should be able to do a orbit, and basically we're getting this thing just about resolved, just the basics of it. And I'm just going to go in here and explode that bottom piece, and I'll pull this one up and catch this point. And you're probably like, why in the world do you keep doing orbit all the time? Well, when you're working with wireframes, sometimes it's easy to get your lines off, and you'll see that when you start drawing with this software, when you start doing the 3D wireframe. So right there is just a basic 3D wireframe of this overall object. Now it looks like we've got to do a few more things to it, but I want to show you all how to do your UCS. Now keep it in the southeast isometric, but I want to show you, so far this is the world coordinate system. Well, you'll notice something. I'll come up here, let's say, and you think you're going to draw a line here just like that. Well, check this out. When I go to orbit, see how it's skewed? I wanted to bring that line straight out over from it, but it's not working like that. And let me show you something else. Let's say I wanted to draw a circle on this thing, and I want it to be on this top level here. Well, I could go over here and turn this, and then put me a circle right there. Now when I go to orbit, see how it puts it on the XY plane? That's where it's going. That's where it's going to draw at. I want to show you what they call a user coordinate system, and it's right up here in your coordinates. I always use the 3-point. Click on your 3-point, And what you do is, let's say I want X to be along this line. You click there, and that sets your X, and this sets your Y. Those 3 points. So the two first points set your X direction, the Y is what's left, your next point, and Z will be straight up. And you got other ones. You can rotate your Z axis, your Y axis. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. But now, with that set, now watch this. I can go in here and draw this circle in. That's a little bit too big. Let's see if I can pull that back in there a little bit. But now, y'all see how now that one is on top of this? Remember before it was drawn it? Because I changed my coordinate system. This is my UCS, my user coordinates. Just I'm using it to manipulate and draw from. Okay? The other one's a world coordinate. If I go up here and hit my little world right here, it'll take it right back down to its original spot. And if I were to draw that circle again, it draws it on the bottom. Y'all see that? So far I draw this, the overall of this thing by just manipulating and doing copy and offset and things like that. So now we've got to do a little bit more with it in with UCS, because I want to come up here and I want to change this to my X, Y, and Z. So come up here to 3 point. I want this to be my X direction. I want this to be my Y direction. And my Z is straight up. It's perfect. I want to go up here and use an offset of 1 inch. There we go. Now I want to come over here to this side, and I want to make this my X and Y. So come to 3 point. Let's make this my X, this direction, and make this my Y. And now I want to offset 1 inch like that. Now I'm going here and I can draw my diagonal lines by snapping them, and I can go ahead and move this over. Just like that. So let's go to 3D and we'll take a little twirl around it. Hey, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? And the only thing you got left up here is going to be pretty simple. We just got to go back to our world coordinate, hit world, switches it all back to the right direction. X this way, Y and Z. And what I could do is really and truly, I could just explode this and just do an offset of 1/2 of an inch. Just like that. And then I could do another offset of 1.5. And then at that point we could just do a trim. Just grab all of it in there and trim, 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 trim. We'll go ahead and knock these off too. Trim those out. And then just fill in the rest of it. Let's just make sure you're snapping to stuff or it won't turn out right. That looks good. Do an offset here. Grab this. Or not an offset, we'll do a copy of this and catch it from here. And you can actually, if you're snapping to it, you can go ahead and do that. Make your lines catch. Just like that. And at this point, we could probably do a trim on that. See if that'll work. So now we'll make sure we'll swing around to a 3D look of it. Yeah, that looks just about right. And the only thing you got left is just put that little circle in the middle, and on a 3D wireframe you got X and Y here, so we just got to go over 1.5 inches. It looks like 2.67 up, and you can, And again, this is on XY. One thing I do is, of course, you just have to get the right dimensions on it. Put it in there and just do yourself a copy. Go from the center of it at 0, 0, comma, and then it was exactly 0.75 up. And then you could go in there. Of course, I don't have it located in the right center spot, but you would have it located in the right spot. All you have to do just to show a circle like that is you just go around it, around the quadrants, and just put you some. That would represent your circle. And you kick your orbit in and take a look at it. So, of course, you need to get in here and practice. There are going to be a couple drawings on this week's lesson. You guys definitely need to take your time, and when you're drawing this, and take an orbit around to make sure that the lines are going where they're supposed to be going.